Who are you? It's the very first thing we hear in Severance. But while everyone is obsessed with waffle parties and Lumon's conspiracies, you are solving their own mystery. We all treat this show like a sci-fi puzzle, but it's actually a mirror. Lumon isn't the villain. Lumon is an anesthetic. It's a radical visualization of the mute button we all try to press on our own lives. It's not about corporate evil. It's about why we choose to be divided. Today, I'm breaking down the 3 layers of this internal split. You can't skip a single block, because the real break room isn't on screen. Let's fix that. Look, Lumon is disturbing. The cult of care, the meaningless numbers, it all feels like a sharp satire of corporate control. But there is a problem. If this were just a story about evil corporation, why does the procedure look so much like relief? Mark chooses this. Helena uses it strategically. None of these people are whole or stable before they get severed. Lumon provides a structure for people who are already fractured. That changes the entire story. This is the very first time we see Mark. Before he even walks into the office, he is already broken. He sits in his car, unable to process Gemma's death. He doesn't drink for pleasure, he drinks to go numb. He isn't living, he is functioning. If Lumon disappeared tomorrow, his pain would still be there. Severance isn't oppression for him, it's a service. It's anesthesia for a version of himself he can no longer tolerate. And notice how his reintegration doesn't start with love. It starts with shame. He remembers the death of his childhood dog. He remembers his own guilt. That matters. His fracture is older than Gemma. It's about a self he can't stand to be around. The chip doesn't create a new person. On paper, it sounds simple. The chip divides you into an innie and outie. But that's not what's happening. Innies inherit everything that makes us us. Temperament, fear, attachment, shame. Look at Irving. His outie feels the exact same connection to Bert that his innie does, even without the memories. Dylan reacts to his son instantly. Hallie and Helena are both radicals. They just point that energy in different directions. Innies inherit everything. Temperament, fear, shame. They aren't new personalities. They are existing parts of the self isolated. So the question isn't what is Loon doing to them. It's what was already divided. Look at these 2 moments. In season 1, Helena tells her innie, "I'm a person you are not." In season 2, Mark tries to talk to his innie, but his innie doesn't trust him. This is a mirror reflection of the same tragedy. Season 1 was about the innies fighting for their rights to exist. But season 2 visualizes the war within. It's no longer about system. It's about 2 parts of the same soul that simply cannot find a common language. Helena's self-rejection was there from the start. The suicide attempt was the only way for the innie to be seen. But then Helena sees the intimacy between Hallie and Mark. That is unconditional love. Something Helena as Egan Harris has never felt. She doesn't just want to control Hallie. She wants to replace her. She tries to steal the intimacy her innie earned. But instead of integrating that vulnerability, she tries to overwrite it. The most heartbreaking moment is when Hallie realizes Mark slept with Helena, thinking it was her. Look at Hallie in that moment, shattered. This isn't just heartbreak, it's jealousy toward herself. She is jealous of the woman who shares her face but steals her life. You are in a love triangle with your own identity. The tragedy of the final is that Mark literally has to choose between Gemma and the woman who might be Hallie, and he chooses to leave Gemma behind. Look at the visual here. Gemma is separated from Mark by a literal wall, a door. In the real world, Mark never truly understood the scale of her pain. That wall of misunderstanding was always there. Now, that wall is physical. Mark's innie frees Gemma, but then he leaves her standing behind the door. Even when they find the person they've been grieving for, they are so divided from their own past that they can no longer reach out and take it. In these agonizing moments, we don't even know who Mark is with. Is it Haley or is it Helena playing a part? Maybe she is finally merged, or maybe she is so lost in the role that she doesn't know herself anymore. Mark is looking for the core, but he might be holding onto the mask. In the real world, the office usually dulls your identity. You become a title, a function, predictable and safe. But then something strange happens. Inside these walls, identity doesn't disappear. It actually intensifies. The place designed to erase the self becomes the place where the self finally screams. Why? Because Severance doesn't create the split. It just makes it visible. There are two moments that viewers often treat as abstract, but they are ideologically connected. First, the story of Kier's twin brother, Dieter. Dieter represents the other, the part of the self that must be managed or even eliminated. It's a visualization of a self-conflict where someone has to win and someone has to lose. Then Gemma shows Mark a card, Death of Ego. In this world, ego death isn't mystical, it's fragmentation. When you are at war with yourself, one side has to be suppressed, one side has to die. Except for Irving. After being fired, he doesn't just fall apart. He finds Bert, but not to stay. They say goodbye and Irving leaves. But he leaves as a person whose feelings have finally aligned. His outie and his innie are no longer at war. They both feel the same love and the same loss. He is moving toward integration. He accepts the pain of saying goodbye as whole human being. Severance isn't about a system that divides people. It's about people who are already divided. It's about people who hide from shame and replace intimacy with a role. So, who are you? The one who adapts or the one who wants to leave? If they cannot reconcile, what's left? That's the real mystery, not Lumon, the split. In the next video, we will look at the characters as office archetypes, pushed to their breaking point. If you want to understand Severance beyond conspiracies, subscribe. We are not decoding Lumon, we are decoding the fraction.